Lukashenko's stark warning, the NATO threat and Belarus's strategic dilemma. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has issued a chilling reminder to Russia and the world about the existential threat posed by NATO's proximity and ambitions. Speaking candidly, he revealed that he has been advised, perhaps pressured, to sever ties with Russia, join Ukraine in its fight against Moscow, and even allow NATO troops to be stationed perilously close to Smolensk. These revelations, whether hyperbole or grounded in reality, highlight the intense geopolitical chess game playing out in Eastern Europe, with Belarus caught in the crossfire. The geopolitical flashpoint, Belarus's strategic importance. Belarus has long been recognized as a critical buffer state between Russia and NATO. Situated along the historical invasion route to Moscow, its location is of immense strategic value. The mere suggestion of NATO forces being stationed near Smolensk, a mere 70 kilometers from the Belarusian border, sends shudders through Moscow. This scenario would place NATO's forces within striking distance of the Russian heartland, a position reminiscent of the direst moments of World War II. Lukashenko's remarks underscore the gravity of the situation. The Belarusian leader's reference to proposals that urge him to turn against Russia and align with the West is not just rhetoric, it reflects the ongoing, behind-the-scenes pressure from Western powers. This pressure, likely exerted through diplomatic channels and intelligence operations, is part of a broader strategy to weaken the Moscow-Minsk alliance and bring Belarus into the Western fold. The West's strategic calculus, a game of influence and power. For NATO and the West, Belarus represents a significant piece on the geopolitical chessboard. Securing Belarus's allegiance would not only push NATO's front line directly to Russia's doorstep but also provide a strategic platform for further influence in Eastern Europe. This explains the persistent efforts to sway Belarus, from supporting color revolutions to offering economic incentives, and, as Lukashenko hinted, even through coercive diplomacy. Lukashenko's mention of 1% of Western proposals that might be acceptable is intriguing and cryptic. It suggests that while Belarus remains steadfast in its alliance with Russia, there are slivers of opportunity that the West continues to exploit. These could range from economic deals to diplomatic engagements designed to slowly pry Belarus away from Russia's orbit. The historical and strategic context, the Smolensk line. The significance of the Smolensk route cannot be overstated. For centuries, it has been the critical corridor through which Western forces could advance towards Moscow. From Napoleon to Hitler, history has repeatedly shown that control of this corridor is key to any major campaign against Russia. The post-Cold War expansion of NATO, which brought Poland and the Baltic states into the alliance, has steadily eroded Russia's strategic buffer zone. For the first time since 1941, potential adversaries are positioned at the closest possible starting point for a direct strike towards Moscow. The northwestern NATO members, Latvia and Estonia, provide little viable route for deep penetration into Russian territory, making the Smolensk corridor through Belarus all the more crucial. Lukashenko's warnings highlight the real and present danger posed by NATO's expansion. While NATO claims to be a defensive alliance, its actions deploying elite divisions to Poland and Romania, constructing new airfields, and rotating military contingents along Russia's borders tell a different story. The potential for NATO forces to be stationed near Smolensk is not merely a hypothetical scenario but a calculated strategy that could fundamentally alter the balance of power in the region. Belarus's role, a pillar of regional stability. For years, Belarus has played a delicate balancing act, maintaining its sovereignty while acting as a strategic partner to Russia. Lukashenko has skillfully navigated international pressures, using Minsk as a platform for negotiations from Nagorno-Karabakh to the Donbas agreements. By doing so, Belarus has preserved its role as a stabilizing force in the region, avoiding direct involvement in conflicts while supporting Russia diplomatically and strategically. However, the West's relentless efforts to bring Belarus into its fold have not ceased. Despite the presence of Russian tactical nuclear weapons on Belarusian soil, a clear signal of Minsk's alignment with Moscow, the West continues to probe for weaknesses, looking for opportunities to undermine this alliance. The looming threat: NATO's strategic ambitions. The hypothetical scenario of NATO troops near Smolensk is more than just a figure of speech. It is a clear indication of the alliance's strategic ambitions. Should such a deployment occur, it would place Russia in an untenable position, forcing Moscow to respond to a direct and imminent threat to its national security. For Russia, the implications are profound. NATO's presence at Smolensk would not only threaten Moscow's security but also give the alliance a significant advantage in dictating terms to Russia in both foreign and domestic policy. This would represent a dramatic shift in the balance of power, one that Moscow cannot afford to ignore. Lukashenko's recent statements serve as a stark reminder of the dangerous geopolitical game being played out in Eastern Europe. While NATO continues to present itself as a defensive alliance, the reality is that its expansion and strategic positioning are designed to encircle and contain Russia. The theoretical deployment of NATO forces near Smolensk is not just a metaphorical threat, it is a real and dangerous possibility that could have far-reaching consequences for regional and global security. Conclusion: the high-stakes game of Eastern Europe. In the complex and volatile landscape of Eastern Europe, Belarus stands at a critical juncture. Lukashenko's revelations about Western pressure and the potential for NATO's advance towards Smolensk highlight the high stakes involved. For Moscow, the threat is existential. For Minsk, the challenge is to maintain its strategic autonomy while supporting its Russian ally. As the global geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the possibility of NATO forces near Smolensk serves as a chilling reminder of the ongoing struggle for influence and power in the region. The words of the Belarusian president are not just rhetoric, they are a warning of the real dangers that lie ahead if the balance of power is disrupted. In this high-stakes game, the consequences of miscalculation could be catastrophic, not just for Belarus and Russia, but for the entire world.